Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, or good morning, I should say, and welcome to yet another segment of Asaph Cafe. And once again, we're doing a series of outer space cafes.
Yep.
I am your host, Asaph Adonai. Let me make some acknowledgments. On my right, we have Sean. He's been on the show a few times in the past. Hello, Sean. And he's going to be one of our guests. Our special guest on my left, hostess of the new Lawrence Welk show, Louise Bundy, and professional ballet teacher and dancer, so we're glad to have her. And then on my further left, affectionately, our aging rocker, Emmons.
Yep, fascinating.
Isn't that a beautiful set?
Exactly.
Now, did you hear on the CBS News about the new planets?
Oh, it was fascinating. Absolutely. And they're in the habitable zone that they could have Earth-type life.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that in a bit, but you want to start us off, Emmons?
Yes. Heavenly Father, bless our time together and healing me of my allergies in Jesus' name.
Amen. So just maybe a shot of that soda might help you there. So anyway, on CBS World News, they were talking about the planets. Just last night, they discovered 9 planets.
Fascinating.
In the, I don't know what solar system.
Yeah, I can't remember.
And they were like, how can I explain it? They were all in order, like back to back, and there were something like 3 of those planets that were on Earth. So,
right. Well, you know, we can't possibly be the only life in the entire universe with how the billions of stars are out there. You know?
I've always believed in extraterrestrials myself, you know.
Well, even if we are the only ones, I think it displays a creator, but I don't know.
It does.
But it's just amazing, those new planets.
Yes, it is.
I mean, they think that those planets can support life.
They could.
Earth-type
life.
They think they have water on these planets, and they were showing these detailed computerized images.
Yeah.
And plus the real planets too, so that's pretty cool.
Yes, yeah. I hope they do discover some kind of life.
Well, you know, I don't think that life in the universe would only be based on Earth-type life.
Right.
I mean, there could be life and stuff like that.
What?
Like plant life, maybe, and something.
Well, I think it's something totally different than our own, where we would not be able to survive. Maybe a planet with a methane atmosphere that we could not survive on, but the aliens could. The actual, aliens, and they couldn't survive on Earth.
Oh, I
see.
see.
Totally different environment, gravity, the atmosphere, totally. That, and any scientist would think, well, life could not survive here, but here's in the habitable zone. If this is here's an Earth-type planet, and it could support Earth-type life with people like us. Well, that's not probably the only creation in. As far as extraterrestrials in the universe, there might be something totally different,
Oh, I see what you mean, yeah.
You said we're carbon-based life form.
Yes.
And they don't necessarily have to be.
Like, remember that Star Trek episode?
Right.
The silicon-based creature?
Right.
There could be something like that here easily.
Yeah, the Hornet.
It was an excellent episode.
Yeah.
Well, you know how these scientists are, they're going to figure it out. They'll figure it out.
Yeah. Sure will be exciting if they do discover life.
That will be.
Yeah. That's great.
Maybe they have easy listening.
Who knows?
I made up a planet one time when I was, doing some science fiction stories. I can't remember the name of it, but this is the planet that easy listening came from. Okay. I made up that planet kind of in a science fiction story. The reason we have easy listening, like Tony Mattel or some of the Henry Cultivists, or Percy Faith, they're actually extraterrestrials from another planet. I made that up. They brought their music here, and they weren't going to. Isn't that a fascinating idea for a science fiction story?
Who would have thought?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. There are a lot of people that believe that extraterrestrials have been here all along.
Yeah.
Well, we'll find out. I mean, these planets, they look pretty real, I mean, they were like I just stated 9, but they were all back to back. To each other.
Yeah. Interesting.
And it made me think of Star Trek Voyager, the television show.
Yes.
Because they said that those planets were something like 12,000 light years, which would be like 4 million miles or something from the Earth. I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And are you familiar with Voyager? Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Well, they're lost in space. And they're just like 75,000 light years from the Earth, so that would be like half a, what,
I
billion
know.
miles
Well,
from the
it's-
earth or something
yeah,
like
it's a
that.
long way.
Yeah.
One of those people can't get home.
Yeah,
And it would take them something like 75 years to get to the earth,
yes, makes sense.
unless they go through a time warp
Yeah.
thing
Wow,
or something.
yeah.
So, and that part of space they're trapped
Yeah.
out there,
Mhm.
there's hardly nothing. Hardly
Yeah.
no aliens, anything. Just
Yeah, I would have done it differently with more aliens and more science fiction plot, a lot more action. It's too politically correct for me. I've tried to get into Voyager desperately and really give it many chances. It's now on BBC America, you know. They no longer have Star Trek The Next Generation, but the marathons of Voyager. And I've really tried to get into that, and I haven't been able to.
Really?
It's so politically correct, it's just talking and not much action. Yeah, you know.
Well, it's probably a good thing, though.
Oh, I love action. I love space wars and action and, you know, incredible, you know, going to the wildest planets like this and finding the most incredible aliens, like maybe telepathic insects who have, you know, something incredible like, you know, armies of battle cruisers in space, and they do it by telepathy. Something really wild.
Yeah.
I mean, really imaginative, you know.
Yeah.
Let's push the boundaries of imagination, but...
Right. Well, Star Trek, though, was also based on philosophies.
Well, it was. But yeah, even though the original, you know, Star Trek William Shatner was, but it had a lot of action and a
That's
lot of
true.
great plots, you know,
Yeah.
a lot of fascinating aliens, just fascinating. So you can do both, you know.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. What was your favorite episode?
Oh, that would be the Doomsday Machine.
Ah.
Love that.
Yeah. Commodore Decker.
That was excellent. Yeah.
Yeah.
that was the thing with Star Trek Voyager. I didn't recognize
Yeah.
it. Not.
I do. Yep.
There you go. Can't believe I'm playing that song. But anyway, that's pretty cool, that discovery in space.
Oh, it's incredible.
Yeah.
And that would be something if there were humanoid kind of life. I guess we'll find out in time
Yeah.
if there's such thing, you know.
Exactly.
But this whole universe is such a
Yeah, it is.
beautiful display. Like when you look in the sky and you see all the
Mhm.
stars.
Oh,
and
it's beautiful. Yeah.
Oh, I've seen some of the pictures from the Hubble telescope.
Oh, yeah, they're incredible.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the colors and the formations.
Yeah,
gaseous
Well, they
clouds.
had an artist also that used his imagination what it might look like on
Yeah.
some of those planets.
Yeah, definitely.
Just
Oh,
gorgeous artwork,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So, Sean, how have you been?
Oh, busy.
Busy. What are you doing these days?
You know, on YouTube.
Oh, that's right. You're working for them, aren't you?
No, I don't. I'm trying to. I don't work for them in a way. I'm my own. Like you have your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I have my own YouTube channels.
Okay. Does it have a name or anything?
I have 3 of them.
Oh, okay.
3 or
So,
4.
What kind of stuff
5.
do you post on there?
2 of them are for Halloween.
Okay.
One's just for random videos.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And then one's my daily vlogs.
Uh-huh.
And then there's one that's geared. I think I forgot one. One's geared for tech and stuff. When I find something tech related.
I see. Oh, cool. How long you been doing that?
About 3 to 4 years.
How do you like it?
I'm good. I started out, had my first channel, and I sort of backed away from that. I got rid of that channel, created a new channel.
Okay. Cool. So what do you think about outer space, Sean?
It's nothing big to me.
The idea
I think it's fascinating.
Yeah, the idea of alien life doesn't,
Yeah.
doesn't come to you. Yeah.
It doesn't really.
What about the idea that they've been here for thousands of years and have influenced our history and maybe infiltrated our species?
I believe all that, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go into that whole spectrum.
Yeah.
I believe it myself, you know.
Oh, life on other planets?
Yes, that may have influenced our culture, like the
Yeah.
Egyptian cultures and the Mayan culture, yeah.
Me, I would think it'd be more like plant life, water life.
Yeah.
I'm not no
Mhm.
expert in science or whatever, so who knows?
Yeah, it's just a theory, but it's
Yeah.
interesting, you know.
It
Yeah.
is.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Cool.
Because they're saying the Sphinx is a lot older than the pyramids.
Oh, yeah,
so I'm
yeah.
not sure, who actually built that.
Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
and that it was beautifully painted and
Yeah,
colored.
yeah.
So, it's interesting.
we'll find out with these new planets. They looked very promising.
Yeah, it did, yeah.
They'll probably repeat it on tonight's news.
Yeah. Well, I think they're going to have to find somewhere for humans to go because it
Yeah.
doesn't look like we've learned anything from the history of this planet
Yeah.
about living in peace with each other.
I know.
Yeah.
We're going to have to get them to go somewhere.
You know, I wouldn't mind being one of the first colonists on Mars if we sent a colony of humans to Mars. I mean, think of the adventure.
Yeah.
I mean, you might die out there with lack of food or whatever, and it's very difficult just to survive, but to be one of the first pioneers, I mean, that'd be exciting.
Yeah, that's true.
I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
They're already sending rockets out in space
Yes.
to get to Mars. They were saying on the world news.
Oh, yeah. they've
Oh,
already
there's
landed.
beautiful.
They've
Yeah,
had a few failures though. They've exploded
Yeah.
in the sky with unmanned rockets.
Yeah. It's interesting.
hmm
Interesting.
Yeah, I'd go in a heartbeat. Something to, not on another planet, would be part of history in that adventure, you know.
I've always wondered if Mars was like Earth a few billion years ago.
It probably was.
And eventually the climate change
Yes.
dried out or whatever, and we actually came
Yeah.
from there.
Who knows?
They sent their survivors here.
I believe more in the biblical account of Adam and Eve, that's what I believe, but you never know as far as extraterrestrials.
You know, like other people you're talking about.
Yeah, I believe in Adam and Eve, I believe in the biblical account, but I wouldn't be surprised if extraterrestrials influenced the Egyptians somehow. They didn't know what they were seeing or whatever. You know, you look at some of the artwork, and I thought that there was just interesting artwork, but I've seen like ancient aliens, you know, that showing history that maybe these were influenced by extraterrestrials. You never know, you know, it's just a theory, but
Yeah.
What fascinates me also is the planes of NASCAR.
the plane,
Where they have those giant drawings that can only be seen from the sky.
oh yeah, interesting,
You
yeah.
know, one looks like a phoenix, and
Yeah.
you know, they're-
Well, you probably won't be near your TV tonight unless you're tonight, but I assume they'll show that story sometime tonight because it was
Yeah.
just a brand new story
Yeah.
they talked about just last night.
Yeah,
And they were
Great.
beautiful looking planets
Oh,
Yeah.
that
that's
they
great.
showed. Yeah.
might even be on the paper or something.
It could be,
Today's
because
paper.
it's a new story that they just said just
Mhm.
last night. So.
Terrific.
And what do you think about kicking Pluto to the curb? Did you hear
You know,
about
yeah, I know, I didn't like that. I did not like that. I
That
think
is
it's still a
technically, they
planet.
proved it a long time ago, it's technically not a planet.
Yeah.
Well, even Mercury's still a planet. It's small enough to be
Yeah.
a moon, so.
No, keep Pluto in there. I mean, I
Actually,
grew up with
it's
Pluto,
not-
you know?
Like, by teaching and stuff, they started considering not, because it didn't have any moons or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why they kicked it, I think, to the curb.
Yeah. Actually, Neil deGrasse Tyson
Yeah.
was instrumental in that decision as well.
I thought Pluto did have one moon.
No.
Oh, I thought it did for some reason.
That's why they consider it not a planet.
Yeah.
It's got to have a moon at least to consider it a planet.
Well, some planets might not have a moon. You never know, you know.
I don't know.
But if they can look that far at like Pluto,
Yeah.
they probably have looked at all the planets as they were going along,
Yeah.
and probably Pluto did not check
Yeah.
their mark.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. Now it changes the acronym for remembering the planets. Because it used to
Yeah.
be Mother very enthusiastically made a sandwich for us with
Yeah.
no peanut butter. Now it's with something else, Nutella or something else.
Do you remember that Alf episode, if you ever liked Alf, where Brian wanted to do a science model for school? It was model of the solar system, and Alf said, "Well, you missed out the two planets, Dave and Alvin." And well, Brian, you know, little boy, actually added Dave and Alvin, and he got in trouble with the school, and the school wouldn't allow it, you know, as our part. And then of course Alf said, "I'm mad. I'm really mad." And so called up the principal and had threatened to have Brian removed from school and told and this is so funny. You know how Willie Tanner always has to cover for Alf and tell anyone about Alf because the alien task force? Well, guess what? The principal showed up. They had broken the TV. The TV was broken, and I can't do it. It's so visual. Willie was screaming at Alf. "Well, you called Consumer Ed when I told you not to? I ought to turn you over to them. Wouldn't that make it Christian for the 6 o'clock news?" Then he opened the door and said, "Yeah!" And of course, the principal was saying, "Oh!" And then the principal said, "What? You made a phone call to me today." And she said, "I don't remember a phone call." And he said, "Who are you yelling at?" The TV. The TV's broken. I always yell at the TV when it's broken.
Oh, I see.
And it's
that was
a
a fun show.
Yeah.
You've seen it, haven't you?
I have once or twice, but
Well,
I
actually, did you know
didn't get into
before
it.
the Cosby Show, that was the #1 show on
Yeah.
television? Really?
Oh
No,
my
seriously.
goodness.
I mean, before Cosby came out.
Wow.
Yeah,
Alf
Alf was, NBC's
from
Alf was
Melanie.
the #1 show
Yeah.
on
Oh
television.
my goodness.
At
Yeah,
that time.
I've never.
I loved Alf. Anyway, so then when the principal threatened to bring a social worker, he said, no, let's talk. Sit. I remember this is about my conversation. What did I say? I didn't even remember because, well, the TV just exploded. It was on my head. And then the principal said, he was threatened to remove Brian from school. You questioned the credentials of his teacher, and you refused to remove the 2 planets that were there, Alvin and David. One of which you said you stopped to use the restroom. And so they were blaming Willie, and he had to talk to Alvin. Finally, they did allow it. I mean, a consumer ed finally came to look at the television. It's hard to describe. It was a hilarious one. But it worked out well in the end, but it was hilarious. I just can't do it. There were 2 other planets that hadn't been discovered, Dave and Alvin. You know, because there was Alf had in his glove compartment a map of the galaxy, and the scientists didn't know about it, you know, Earth. But they theorized maybe a 10th planet, and it was just a funny show.
That's great.
I loved Alf.
Yeah.
So many times I would laugh till I had tears coming out of my eyes. I was laughing so hard.
You know, I think the reason that show worked was because it was clean. It was just a
It was a very clean movie.
Yeah, and
Series.
I think television was lacking that. And
It was.
Alf just happened to come along at that time, and I think it reached a lot of children.
It did,
And
and they
that's
loved
why-
Alf.
Yeah, they never had any of those innuendos like a lot of shows have, and it was just
Yeah.
silly fun, silly comedy, and I think
Yeah.
it worked at the time.
Yeah.
It probably wouldn't work today in 2017, but at that time,
Yeah, it worked for me.
worked. Yeah.
Now they made an Alf cartoon where Alf was on Melmac. I tried to watch it, but it just wasn't very good.
I'm not familiar with that.
It was on Saturday morning cartoons in 1986. As a matter of fact, I saw that first before I saw Alf, the live action one.
Mhm.
I wasn't amused, but I like the concept of Alf. Funny, they put it on local TV in the afternoon, and boy, that was so funny.
I'll take some of that secret ingredient.
That was so funny, yeah.
That's based on Star Trek V, The Secret Ingredient.
Yes.
I don't know if you know the story of that or not. In Star Trek V, can't believe I'm sharing this with you.
Yeah.
Captain Kirk, Dr. McCoy, and Spock, they were on shore leave at the beginning of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And Dr. McCoy was making some beans.
Yeah.
The family recipe, just baked beans. And the secret ingredient was alcohol, was gin or whatever it was. And so they didn't tell, Dr. McCoy didn't tell Spock what the secret ingredient was. And so after Dr. McCoy cooks the beans, Spock is eating it.
Yeah.
I've never tasted beans quite like this before. You know, he's getting all logical about the beans. And McCoy says, that's our old McCoy recipe.
Yeah.
It goes back generations, and it's alcohol.
Oh.
And so Spock's like, you mean to tell me your secret ingredient is alcohol? And McCoy says, yeah. And then Captain Kirk says, you got any more of that secret ingredient?
Hilarious.
So I borrowed that joke with him at.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
So when he brings his cola, we just call it.
Yeah,
secret
definitely,
ingredient
definitely love
based
it.
on Star Trek V.
Sure.
I had to tell the TV audience the first time I used that joke that
Exactly.
it's soda.
Yeah.
We're not
Exactly.
drinking for real.
Yes.
Get us all in trouble.
Yeah, alcohol's not allowed in the studio.
No.
Yeah.
So when we use that joke, secret ingredient, that's what it means. And I don't know if I ever told you that
Yeah.
joke or not.
Besides, I'm not a morning drinker anyway. Yeah.
No.
I like to drink in moderation, beer and wine, but I'm not a morning drinker anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
And I love my coffee in the morning anyway.
Mhm. I do too.
Oh, I
when
love
have time
coffee.
to drink it.
I love coffee, but caffeine is not good for me.
Yeah, I need it as the eye opener in the morning.
Ah.
I bought some French vanilla yesterday. I like French
Oh,
vanilla.
wow.
Love-
You talking about the French vanilla, the cream?
not only the French vanilla, but the actual coffee, Folgers,
yeah.
French vanilla flavored. It's delicious.
Yeah.
I love that.
The cream's is very good too.
It is. Yeah, I had to buy some of that yesterday. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to talk about Time Tunnel for a moment. You know, I've been watching.
Oh,
that
yeah.
show. Did you see it last Saturday by chance?
I didn't. I
I
keep
think
forgetting
so.
to
I
watch
thought
it.
about you, and I almost sent you an email.
Yeah, I think so.
Robert Duvall, the actor, was the
Mhm.
guest star. he was a saboteur, and he was trying to destroy the tunnel.
Oh, right.
I mean, he was working at the tunnel.
Yeah, he planted a bomb in the station.
Yeah.
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 And it was a nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
And whenever the time travelers are on the screen, if something happens to the tunnel, they can feel it. So the first part of the sabotage, they were dying.
Uh-huh.
The two time travelers are dying. Now, if they're not on the screen, then they're okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then the scientists that worked at controls are trying to figure out what was wrong, and they were able to figure it out. And then, of course, the saboteur planted the bomb, and then he
Yeah.
goes into the tunnel himself when he's not supposed to.
Right.
It plunged him 1 million years into the future.
Oh,
So that was interesting.
yeah.
I didn't know the time tunnel could go that far, but it did. It literally went 1 million years into the future.
Fascinating.
And so then the two time travelers got plunged also 1 million years
Oh,
in the
right,
future.
and that's where those metallic men showed.
Yeah, to try to
Fascinating.
they were going to try to stop the saboteur because
Right.
somehow the saboteur got into the future first, so he somehow took over the whole planet, the culture.
Mhm.
And he was like this dictator president,
Mm-hmm.
and he took over.
Yeah.
So when the two time travelers got into the future to try to capture him, they had a hard time because all the people were serving
Right.
and following the saboteur who had taken over.
Mhm.
But what was creepy about that episode was there was one lady from that planet in the future, and they didn't know what the word like is, you know, like when you like someone.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So she started liking the two time travelers and thought they were nice people because they helped her, because they were going to sacrifice her and kill her because of the saboteur who took over.
Yeah.
So she appreciated her life being saved.
Yeah.
I like you guys, so I'm going to help
Yeah.
you. So she helps the two time travelers capture the saboteur. But like in any movie, the bad guy always gets away, right? Just when
Yeah.
he's about to get caught. So the time tunnel plunged him 1 million years into the past
Oh, wow.
instead.
Mhm.
So that would be actually 2 million years because he was already 1 million years in the future. So when he get back in normal time, he gets plunged 1 million years back.
Yeah.
And there was these dinosaurs.
Oh.
And
No,
there were no
fascinating.
people on the planet.
Right.
And then the time tunnel also plunged the two time travelers back in that time period, plus the two people from the future.
Oh, right. Yeah.
There were two people from the future 1 million
Mhm.
years ahead, so they're all stuck in a dinosaur
Right.
Yeah.
era fighting off these big dinosaur creatures. And, oh God, it was so
Yeah.
creepy.
Fascinating.
And then the saboteur got in a situation where, you know, they always fall in quicksand, right?
Oh, yeah.
So the saboteur falls in quicksand, right? And so the time travelers save his life, and he still don't behave.
Right.
Yeah.
Then he falls into this, like this beehive,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
you know, from 1 million years before. So they're like these giant,
Giant
bees,
bees, right.
big giant
Fascinating.
bees. And so the saboteur was trapped in there, along with the two time travelers and the two people from the future. They couldn't get out, and the bees were like, bzzz, they were coming, you know. I don't know how to play Flight of the
Yeah.
Bumblebee, but anyway.
Oh, that's an excellent song. Yeah. Neil Diamond did it. Yeah.
But anyway, getting back to the bees, so the bees were coming, right? And right when the bees are going to get all those people, the people in 1968 got the tunnel working, so they plunged the two time travelers away from the beehive first.
No, fascinating.
Then, because they had to do it like two people at a time because they didn't have enough power.
Mhm.
And so the saboteur at the last minute tells the two time travelers
Right,
where
the
they
bomb is.
where the bomb is, right? So they go and get the bomb, they save the time tunnel, and
Yeah.
so the two time travelers are rescued from the beehive, and then the two people from the future are rescued from the beehive. And then the tunnel ran out of power again.
Oh, the bastard.
And so the saboteur was trapped in that beehive.
Oh,
and he gets eaten up. They don't show it,
Right,
but
right.
he gets eaten up.
Oh, my goodness.
Fascinating.
by bees and-
Incredible. Sounds excellent.
All he had to do was behave himself
Yeah,
and just
yeah.
tell where the bomb was
Yeah.
originally when they
Yeah.
had enough power, that time tunnel, and he could have had his life saved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Speaking of science fiction time travel, have you ever liked a series called Doctor Who?
Oh, yeah.
I love Doctor Who. I don't like the newer ones, but I love the ones like with Tom Baker and John. Who is it? Who was the one that played the third Doctor? I don't
I
remember.
don't remember either.
I only know of that series. I didn't actually watch it all the time. Was it a
watched
weekly
it
series?
Yeah.
What?
Weekly series?
Yeah, from BBC. It was excellent. At first, it was going to be an educational one. They had, I can't remember who, John Pertwee was the third one, but they had an elderly doctor, professor, and at first it was going to teach kids all about history, like dinosaurs or history, but then they changed it, kind of, they threw a Dalek in. The Dalek was the arch enemy of, just everyone in the universe. They were robots, but they had kind of brains, and they were ruled by someone named Davros. Just fascinating. But the Doctor was if I remember, the Doctor was thrown out of Gallifrey because he broke their cardinal rule, which says you do not interfere in the lives of other citizens and change time and space. You just observe. He was a Time Lord. The Gallifrey was a planet kind of similar to this, and they knew how to travel back and forth through time. What they called a TARDIS, time and relative dimensions in space. Well, they were on a low budget, so they used a police box.
Yeah.
It was great. What a great idea.
Yeah.
It was totally frozen as a police box because it could blend in with the surroundings. So the Doctor fought evil aliens and warlords in outer space to fight for truth and justice. For a while, he was trapped on Earth in Britain. And he helped this a thing called UNIT, United Nations Intelligence Task Force, fight aliens and other things. One of his arch rivals was the Master, a renegade Time Lord who wanted to rule the universe. But I just loved it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, did you hear CBS announced they got a new Star Trek series coming out this year, 2017? Did you hear about
No,
that?
I didn't. I can't
It's
wait.
based on the 1960 William Shatner Star Trek. They said it'll have more planets, more villains, more
Wonderful.
whatever. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Oh,
And they
that's
showed
great.
a clip of the new Enterprise. It's supposed to be the Enterprise. It's a fancier version, but Captain Kirk's. I'm surprised I didn't see that.
No, I'm surprised.
CBS announced
Sounds
it.
great, yeah.
It'll be out probably September this year.
I love it, yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing it. They said they're going to get all fancy here, bring
Wonderful.
Captain Kirk back to life, and
Oh, wow.
Wow.
that sort of thing, yeah.
Oh my
And Dr.
goodness.
McCoy and all the rest of
Cool.
those characters.
Excellent.
It'll be cool. Be way cool.
Yeah.
Do you like the Star Wars movies?
Oh, I love them. I love them. Absolutely.
They're pretty amazing.
What about
They're
you?
incredible.
Star
I love
Wars?
Rogue One.
which
Have you
one?
seen Rogue One? That was
Oh,
fantastic.
anyone. Did you?
Excellent.
I was
Excellent.
familiar with it.
That's
I'm
great.
familiar with Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of Star Wars, the history of Star Wars, I was just talking to someone about this recently. You know, when somebody has a dream, like they have a new movie, a new book, or whatever, and they present it to whoever they're supposed to present to, and they're always getting turned down. Well, George Lucas had his little Star Wars, the original one, and he got turned down by all the major studios, according to history. So they go to this like unknown studio, right? And they fund the first Star Wars, and it made like millions and millions and millions.
Yeah.
And they said on the world news that all the people that were supposed to know that was a good movie got fired and lost their jobs. That was on the world news.
Cool, yeah.
You know, the people that are always turning folks
Oh
down.
my goodness.
Yeah, they all got fired.
Wow.
They missed that opportunity.
Yeah.
And of course, now Star Wars is history.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Do you know who owns Star Wars now? Do you know who owns?
Is it Disney?
Yep, it
Yep.
is.
Yeah, but I mean when they did the first one. See, the point that I'm going with this is
You
usually
see how
when
the Disney probably after they probably got the wind of the first probably second or third, whatever how long ago they bought it out. That's probably they started noticing it was starting to make good profits, and they noticed they could keep the story going.
Yeah.
Not to mention all the products that come out of a Star Wars movie, the action figures.
Oh yeah, I had a lot of them. Yeah.
And they made it in I think Disney. They have a themed ride. I don't know what the name is.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, it's amazing. My
I think
grandson
that-
has to have Star Wars characters.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I think they bought the rights to Indiana Jones or whatever too,
I did not know that, huh?
because they have an Indiana Jones ride.
Yeah, they do.
So they probably bought most of the rights out for some of them.
Interesting.
I guess my one complaint about the new Doctor Who series, the doctors are not eccentrics. Remember Tom Baker? He was such an eccentric. He had a coat and a scarf and floppy hat, and he always has jelly beans. They call it jelly. Want a jelly baby?
Right.
And he was humorous and funny.
Yeah.
The third Doctor was more dashing and debonair, but he liked fine wine and food. And I thought the fifth Doctor was kind of bloppy, just kind of dull.
How many seasons was that show? Was it on for like 5 seasons?
Many seasons. I can't even remember. The sixth Doctor was back to being funny and bizarre, but it's just, and the second Doctor, I didn't care for him too much. I can't remember who played him, but he had a little recorder. The recorder you play on?
Right. The instrument?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they were all so eccentric.
Yeah.
The Doctor was eccentric. He was an eccentric Time Lord. These new Doctors, they dress normal and they're not eccentrics.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, they're just normal, kind of yuppified, and so it kind of ruins it for me. Because the thing I loved was the eccentricity.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, anyway, we'll see how good this new Star Trek.
Definitely.
Series.
Yeah, that's gonna be great.
Yeah, CBS.
Good.
And it'll get all fancy like the new Superman or Supergirl. Have you seen that new Supergirl series?
No, I have not.
It's just fancy. They had this scene when they were first teaching her how to be Supergirl. She was excited because she had all this strength, right? But she didn't know how to temper that strength. So they had this scene where this oil rig ship was going down, and she goes flying out there, and she picks the ship and it tears.
Oh yeah.
Because she didn't know how to handle it properly.
Yeah.
So she had to learn, and there was this organization, I can't think of their name, but they said, we better teach this girl how to use this string.
Yeah.
Or she's going to destroy everything accidentally. Then they had this scene where they had to teach her how to fight, because we have like technology and computers and stuff, so the bad guys, they know what kryptonite is, right? And they know that substance will kill anything from Krypton.
Right.
Yeah.
So what they did, she thought she could just whip everybody. She didn't know that she was vulnerable to kryptonite.
Oh.
So they put her in this room where they had like these kryptonite lights, that just come down without harming her, so she can stand up. And then the boss lady goes in there and does some jujitsu on Supergirl, and she's like, how'd that feel? That didn't feel good, did it? She's like, no. Well, you better learn how to fight, because the bad guys have this substance and they'll try to get you. So they're like training her, so they teach her kung fu and teach her how to handle. It's just your classic updated Supergirl or Superman movie. So.
No, that reminds me of a great show called The Greatest American Hero.
Oh, I remember that.
I remember that. I remember that.
Such a great show.
You liked it? I watched it because I was desperate for anything science fiction, but I didn't like it.
No, it was funny because when he got the suit, he didn't have the instructions.
I know, he lost the instruction manual.
So when he would fly, he'd be all kilter flying and crashing into walls and stuff like that.
Yeah, I just couldn't get into it,
I just thought it was funny.
It was really funny. And Robert Culp was a good sport, I think, part of that. I probably went home at night thinking, I can't believe I did that crazy, silly show.
Yeah, especially after I Spy.
Yeah, and all the other brilliant shows he's done.
Yeah. That too was on Diagnosis Murder today.
Oh, you play that.
Yeah.
One thing about the Doctor Who series, getting back to Doctor Who, I read in Starlog, the magazine I used to have as a kid that I loved. If you ever seen Starlog, about science fiction, that was years ago. They did an interview with Tom Baker, the one who did Doctor Who for so many years. He resigned, and now when a person dies or resigns, if they resign and can't be on the set, there's always a death scene because Time Lords can regenerate, and that's why there's a new actor. They regenerate into another body. But Tom Baker loved playing Doctor Who.
So he's not playing that character anymore, is he?
What?
He's not playing that character anymore?
No, not for years. And he loved playing Doctor Who. And he was getting paid to do something he loved. Every day he loved it. But he had a heart-wrenching decision. He decided that, one, he wanted to move on as an actor. And second of all, he wanted to give someone else the joy of playing Doctor Who. So he decided to resign. But I thought that was a terrible idea. If you have a job you love, and it's like play to you, and it's taking home the paycheck.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Why quit? If he had been here, and he had asked me if he should quit, I would say to Tom Baker, please don't quit. This is something you love, a dream job, and you're getting well paid to do it. How many people can say that they do it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it was a disaster for him to quit.
And did the series fold because of that?
No, they just had a fifth Doctor. I can't remember who played that, and some other doctors, But if he loved being Doctor Who, why quit?
That's basically like the saying, like YouTube. If you love doing YouTube and you want to make money at it, do it, because that's something that if you're passionate about doing YouTube. For example, like I know there's YouTubers out there that love their job, that love doing YouTube.
Exactly.
And they make money doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they pay for their house, They pay for all kinds
Yeah.
of cars. They got the vehicles.
You know, Scott said something, you know, his news program, Wake Up Missoula. I was doing a story on the original Jeopardy game show.
Oh, yes.
With, not Alex Trebek, before him, it was Art Fleming. Art Fleming was the original host of Jeopardy. And so I had this video footage where I was showing the original board, where it just looked like cardboard boxes that turned over. Scott said, the guy that probably was flipping a letter said, I did this job to put my kid through college.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, it looked really primitive.
Yeah. Well,
at
everything's
that time.
electronic now. So,
I know, it was about 40 years ago, something like that.
Or more.
At least. Yeah.
But I still watch it all the time. And I
Yeah,
still-
my parents did too.
I still try to catch it when I can.
Speaking of 40 years, can you believe this is 40 years old?
Young and the Restless?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna play it all the way through, but
It's my
I'm making a
one-
point.
The one soap opera I get to watch.
Yeah.
40 years,
Yeah.
can you believe it?
Yeah, I never got into soap operas. My mother watched them a lot, or some relatives, but I found them so depressing. Like a
They're
bad
just fun.
daydream.
I know they're not
Yeah.
real, they're just fun.
It is. It's just
It's so depressing. It's so depressing to see people with, you know, their lives and cheating on each other and who's going to jail, who's not, who's cheating on who, and who's
Well,
trying
you
to
know
set
the
up evil
history of
plans
soap
against.
operas? It had to do with advertisement for soap
Right.
products.
Yeah.
On radio.
Yeah, and they had these really primitive episodes.
Oh,
Of course,
yes.
now it's expanded over a 40-year
Oh.
period. So
Guiding Light, I think, was one of the oldest ones. And
Yeah.
As the World Turns, I think those two
Yeah.
were two of the oldest
Yeah.
soap operas. Yeah.
But
They
the
were
one
15
that's
minutes.
surviving is the Young and the Restless.
Yeah. Days of Our Lives is still on, so is General Hospital.
Yeah, I did not know that, huh?
Yeah.
Thought they
Well,
canceled those too, huh?
they just interviewed the actor that plays Victor Newman
Oh, yeah,
last
Eric
week on the
Braeden.
talk. Yeah,
Yeah.
Eric Braeden.
I
He's from
remember his,
Montana.
I remember his first movie.
Really?
Yeah, The Foreman Project.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He was so skinny then.
Wow. Usually those actors are really thin when they
Yeah.
first burst on the scene.
I know.
They start making hit movies and they eat good, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah, but yeah, that was
But
a
yeah,
good
yeah,
one.
The Young and the Restless, 40 years old. That is amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
In fact, I remember when I think Tom Selleck was on as a boyfriend of one of the.
Yeah, that's right. He was.
girls. Yeah.
That was before Magnum PI. Wasn't
Yeah,
it?
way before.
That show was something like this. Something like, I don't know how to play that song, that theme song. That was
Yeah.
kind of a cheesy show to me.
Magnum.
Yeah.
The character was gorgeous, but just so silly.
That's what I mean.
No,
Well, I know he
I
was
wish
very,
he'd
well, he's
been
not a
a
bad
little-
looking guy now, but
No, he's still gorgeous.
I think he's hit his stride with Blue Bloods.
Oh,
in my
definitely.
opinion.
I watch it every week. I love that show.
I think, I don't want to pick up Magnum PI. I mean, I know he's younger and had the look,
Mhm.
and I think they were capitalizing. You know, I think these producers capitalize on the look of these
Of
stars instead of the
course.
quality of the
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what it's all
of
about.
the episodes.
Yeah.
That's what Hollywood's about superficiality.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah.
Well, they're not going to hire me to play
No,
Magnum,
no.
so.
But Magnum was, I wish he was a little more responsible. I mean, he would take the sports car, and he was living at the house with Higgins and stuff,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
he just sort of like flitted around. He didn't have any
Yeah.
real responsibility, you know.
Yeah, that
That's
show's
what I
about
did.
30 years old, isn't it, at least? Maybe more.
Yeah, probably.
You
It
know,
was in the
Time Just Flies. A lot of
70s.
shows are about 30 or 40 years old, I would
Oh,
say.
yeah.
Oh, wasn't it in the 70s?
Yeah.
And that would be 40 years old.
Yeah. But he said Tom Selleck has hit his stride with Blue Bloods. Oh my
Absolutely,
goodness. Have you seen that show,
absolutely.
Blue Bloods?
Oh, it's great.
I think it's one of the best detective shows on television.
It is.
Never seen it.
It is,
Huh.
because it shows the family of the police officers, not just
Yeah,
what they
and
do.
well, it shows what they go through, like the generations of the family.
Right.
It's the same family.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows like scenes, what they go through as police officers, and then they go home at night and they're sitting at the dinner table and
And discussing
talk about
it.
their day.
Yeah.
And,
And you know, they have
It's pretty cool.
grandkids that may get into trouble, and one of the daughters is a lawyer, and you know, it's very, very well done.
Yeah.
Very well done.
yeah. So, that's a neat show.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I love it.
I think that's one of the best acting
Oh, interesting.
jobs that Tom Selleck has done in his
Definitely.
entire career, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's done comedy like the one with the baby when they want to change the
Oh,
diaper. I
right,
can't
3
remember.
Men and a Baby.
Yeah. And of course Magnum PI and
Yeah.
some of the other
Right.
in the soap operas, but no, this Blue Bloods,
Yeah.
Hmm.
yeah,
Excellent.
he's hit his stride. You ought to see that him. It's a pretty good show.
Interesting, huh?
Exactly.
It really is.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen Law and Order lately. Did they?
Law and Order SVU. Oh, I
Yeah.
forgot to watch it yesterday. I think I forgot to watch it
Well,
yesterday.
gosh, after 20 years, I guess maybe they're running out of ideas. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like they got those new Chicago shows.
Oh,
Yeah.
right, Chicago Fire.
Sure.
Chicago Fire,
Fire.
Chicago Hope, Chicago PD or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like a
And
whole
there's like there's like 4 of them that NBC introduced.
yeah.
4 Chicago type.
And then there's sometimes where they'll intertwine with each other.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's kind of cool. And like they had a couple episodes where they had the cast of Law and Order SVU with Chicago
Ah.
Fire.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
So you would see like Detective Benson in Chicago.
Oh,
She'd
okay.
take
Yeah.
like what is that actor's name? Ice-T's character. I can't think of it.
Yeah.
Tutello.
Oh,
yeah,
They
Tutuola.
would go to
Tutuola,
Tutuola, yeah. They
yeah.
would like go to Chicago and
Oh,
they team
okay.
up, catch
Yeah.
bad guys. And
They did
it's
that with
pretty cool.
CSI, or NCIS, they did that with NCIS and NCIS New
Yeah.
Orleans, which I love.
Mhm.
I love the New Orleans, because Scott Bakula's the chief in New
Yeah.
Orleans.
He's pretty smooth in that,
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, he is.
But they haven't been showing Law and Order lately, at least not that I know of.
Mm.
I've been watching the reruns on.
I think they're moving it over just to introduce those Chicago shows.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Who knows? Yeah.
4, can you imagine 4 of those, 4
Yeah,
different Chicago
that's
shows.
close.
They're all going to be hits. One of them I think is based on the original Emergency with Randolph Mantu.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Squad 51.
Uh-huh.
So-
I think they have Chicago something.
The original Chicago Fire or PD
Yeah,
or
Chicago Fire, I
Chicago
think
Fire, I
is
think
the
it
first
is.
one.
The
Yeah.
first one. Yeah, their squad was Squad 51.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if people notice that or caught
Maybe
that
not,
or,
unless,
you
unless they're
know.
older, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it was based on the original
Mhm.
Emergency.
Emergency.
This goes way before your time.
Yeah, I remember a little something. Do you know? Have you ever heard of Full House? Full House.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the comedy?
Yeah, they actually did a sequel on Netflix called Fuller House.
I heard of that with the same
Oh.
cast.
Pretty much the same cast.
Huh.
Yeah, I heard about
The
that.
only
older-
except for what's her name, the twins or whatever.
The Olsen twins were
The
not on
Olsen,
there?
they're not on there.
Did they have other actors playing them or
No.
some actresses playing
Nope, they
them?
just basically did like a storyline where they're off having fun or something, doing
Oh,
something
yeah.
like that. Like that one sister's out going to college or something. And she
I-
come home or something. I don't know.
I have one of the Olsen twins movies in my collection.
Oh,
just
no.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's kind of like you gotta like shove your pizza down your throat to keep them going. Gag me. I'm
Yeah.
gonna try to pick on those Olsen twins. They're fine
Well,
people, I'm
they were-
sure, but
they're cute, but, you know, it's.
it's like some
actors.
movies. They're like novelty movies,
Oh,
but they're not like attention-getting movies
Yeah.
or anything.
Yeah.
I
Like
think
that.
they did with the twist of the Full House and called it. I think they did
Fuller House, I think it's called.
Yeah, I think it's the original show is called Full House.
Yeah.
And then they call it Fuller House.
Yeah.
Where they bring like one of the best friends and then and it's like then her kids and
Uh-huh.
the younger sister or whatever that was traveling around. I got into binging Friends.
Yeah.
I never watched any shows that had kids. Because those kids were so far away from where my kids were. I thought, oh, no, I'm not gonna even go there.
Mm.
Well, we've got a little bit of time left. I want to jump into Black History real quick.
All right.
Now, Black History Month is celebrated in the month of February
Yep.
every year,
Mhm.
and all that is, it's not necessarily a holiday.
Right.
It's
Right.
just for the month of February, they remember contributions that African American
Oh,
people
yeah.
in the past did, like Jackie Robinson,
Mhm.
paving the way, playing for the Dodgers and
Mhm.
paving the way for future African American
Exactly.
players, because at that time, it was tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you were an African American then, you weren't really accepted
Yeah,
by your
yeah.
audience then.
And also, anything that African Americans achieved was suppressed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they just didn't want to believe that they were on a par with white society.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a movie, I think, a new movie. They had this scene. They were showing these 4 African American women
Right.
that were on their way to NASA.
Yeah.
They got pulled over by a police officer who just thought they were just
Yeah.
black women.
Mhm.
And Wells says, the officer says, "Well, what do you ladies do? What do you work?" And Wells says, "We work for NASA."
Mhm. That's true. They were very, very instrumental in this,
Yeah.
in this space program.
Well, the main person I want to talk about is George E. Johnson Sr. I talked about him on Scott's show.
Mm-hmm.
He's the first African-American entrepreneur. He created a product called Ultra Sheen, Ultra Wave, and Afro Sheen. And in the 70s, oh gosh, I used to use this stuff too. It was like this spray that you get in the mirror, spray your hair, and it was really oily. And then later, Eddie Murphy went on to make fun of those products because they were so greasy. And they had a scene where there were these 3 African-American people visiting someone. They were sitting on the couch, and their head was leaned up against the couch, and so when they got up from the couch, you see these 3 circle stains where their head was. But that's Eddie Murphy, you know. I mean, only he would think of something like that.
That's true.
But on a more serious note, yeah, George E. Johnson Sr. is the creator of those products. And I don't, well, they still have them, but
I don't think they're in wide use.
no, probably not.
Probably not.
We're talking 40 years ago at least.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was like, they had what was called a relaxer, and it had a product, a substance called lye, which would burn your scalp after about 10 or 15 minutes. So what they do is they put it in your hair, and it would straighten out the curls. If you're an African American, it would straighten this cream would straighten out the curls and make it kind of straight. Fried dyed laid to the side is what they called it.
I remember Pearl straight and silky straight.
Yeah, so everybody had like really, really slick straight hair like Count Basie, you know, Nat King Cole and all. And then they came up with what was called the Jerry curl, spelled
My son had one.
Jheri is how it was spelled, Jerry curl, and then they called it Scary curl eventually because it started falling out of favor.
Right.
I think they called it Scary curl because it looked like really cool like for the first month or two. You look at all like perfect hair, perfect waves, and it starts wearing off, and your matted hair starts coming back. And they called it Scary curl because then it would be like half and half, like half straight, half curly again, and the perm would be wearing off. But those were some interesting times. Stuff. But that was a wonderful contribution that George E. Johnson Sr.
And was he also the same Johnson of Johnson Publications?
Probably not.
Okay.
I don't think so. Not according to the notes that I have.
Okay.
But he must have made $1 zillion because he was a chemist. So he was able to come up with that idea as a contribution for African American people. And it must have been tough being Jackie Robinson. Can you imagine that, to be the first African American professional baseball player? And to get out there in the field and get heckled and laughed at. And
well, he was coached by, I believe it was Walter Alston, who was the manager of the team, to no matter what happened, no matter what was said,
stay focused,
just be calm.
Focused on your son. Remember the Karate Kid? Focused on your son.
Don't get upset, don't lose your cool, you know, and it was so hard for him.
But he was so skilled. He started hitting them home runs and stealing bases after a while.
He was extremely talented.
After a while, people start taking him serious, especially when the Dodgers start winning them games like that.
And the Dodgers have always been like the first team to introduce different players, like one of the first Mexican or Hispanic players. Of course, Korean and Japanese players. You know, Hideo Nomo, for example, was an amazing pitcher. And they were always the first to take on new talent like that, and that's why not only are they a good team, which is why I love them, but they're because of that. You know, Jackie Robinson was the first of many.
And they just did a movie called 42, right?
That was an excellent movie.
I'm sure it was. I haven't seen it yet. I've got to see it.
Very good.
And of course, I want some final words. I want to talk about William Marshall. He's the actor on Star Trek that created the
M5.
The M5.
Oh yeah.
M5.
Yeah, I remember that one. That was a good episode.
His name was William Marshall in real life.
He was on a lot of movies.
He was on. You said he was on Bonanza this morning too.
Not this morning, no. But I've seen him on when he came. The townspeople were expecting an opera singer to come, great world famous opera singer. And when he got off the stage, they didn't realize that he was the opera singer, and they didn't want to give him a chance. They didn't want to listen, and they had a big to-do about it. And finally, they consented, and he got up and sang, and they were all mesmerized because
to see this
beautiful,
African-American
facial
singer,
profundo voice.
Well, we're just about running out of time. See, time just flies here real quick. Sean, any final words you want to say?
Just busy. My brain's thinking a million directions.
Well, you just think a million directions to have fun with that.
Actually, it's not fun when you have to figure out when your next video that you got to put out is that I got to make my next vlog.
Oh yeah. Emmett, any final?
I
words
can't
you
think of
wanna say?
anything. Nope.
Well, this was a fun episode.
Yeah, it was.
I like our backdrop, and it was just
Definitely.
so fun covering these topics here. Everything from George Johnson Sr. to William Marshall to
Yeah.
oh, and I wanted to mention Andre Watts too, real
Of
quick.
course, amazing.
African American
pianist.
concert pianist.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't think he's playing much anymore now,
Yeah.
but in his time, he was considered one of the greatest
Mm-hmm.
pianists in history.
Right.
But I don't think his name was as big as, like, say, Horowitz or Rubinstein.
Right.
But yeah, there's no question he ranks up there
Definitely,
with those people.
definitely.
So if you ever get to see Andre Watts, he was on an episode of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah. Just playing all that classical music,
Mhm.
lightning fast
Mhm.
stuff.
Yes. Rachmaninoff. Oh my
So,
God.
yeah, he plays everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of cool. Louise, any final things you want to say?
Just want to thank you for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for coming
And,
spur of the moment again, and
sure.
we wanted to hang out with you, and so did I again.
Sure.
And Sean is good enough to be part of this, so
Yeah,
that's cool.
absolutely.
Well, let me make some final acknowledgments. I am Asaph Adonai, your host. This is Asaph Cafe, and you can see we're in our new outdoor space.
Mhm.
So I'll just keep doing a couple of
Wonderful.
different backdrops, a series of Asaph Cafe in space,
Wonderful.
Sounds great.
So that'd be kind of cool.
I noticed
kinda
your
fun.
thing is hidden away your little panda.
The candelabra, you can see it a little bit. It's kind of like underneath Saturn or whatever.
Mhm.
that-
No, it's like no, you all you see is the candles.
Yeah, well, that's
Yeah,
cool.
it's all
Space,
right.
Yeah, space. So,
It's
anyway, this is Sean right here on my right,
Mhm.
sitting in with us today. On my far left, affectionately, our aging rocker and our special guest, Luis Bundy, on my left. So, I guess if there's no final words,
Yep.
until our next show, Maranatha.
Mhm.
And I always freeze on that chord.
Mhm.
Will you guys make yourself at home till I shut everything down?
Sure.